Thank you very much, Obi. Ooh, I have my earpiece on. I can hear myself. Thank you very much, Obi. But you do see that someone is at the desk with me, and I don't know if we have the rundown thing up there. It is going to be Brendan, and the first thing is going to be a surprise. So we've got a surprise for you.
Surprise, it's Friday.
Yeah, well, it is Friday, but Brendan, what is the big news? What is going on?
Okay, I want to wait just a couple minutes here until more people come in. But once we get a few people in here, we've been talking throughout the week, specifically on the midday show, about some changes that are going to be happening starting next week. So I just wanted to give everyone a bit of a breakdown as of, we are still waiting for a few people to come in. So I want to give everyone a breakdown of a few things that are going to be changing around here. And this is all in effort of making the show bigger, better, more valuable to all of you guys, the viewers. So as the guys on the midday, Sharif and Adair have been talking about, we're going to be shifting the focus a little bit on the midday specifically to education. And they're going to essentially pick a topic per week. Teaser, next week it's going to be about risk management. So all week long, they're going to be discussing keys to risk management when it comes to trading. And the best part about this is that you can apply these types of rules and techniques to any time frame. So it's not necessarily going to be, yes, they're going to be focused on smaller day trading time frames, but this is also stuff that you can take and use at an investment type of longer term type of level. So there's that. So the midday, you'll notice when you come to the YouTube channel starting on Monday, is going to be its own stream. So the entire midday show from 11 o'clock market time to 2 p.m. market time is going to be its own stream. So that is the first change that you'll notice. So the pre-market right through to 11 a.m. is going to be its own stream. 11 to 2 p.m. will be its own stream. And then the afternoon is going to change a little bit as well. Content is going to be the same. People are going to be the same, so don't get afraid. But we're going to go from 2 p.m. then right through to the end of the recap at 4:30, which is going to be seamless. You won't have to go anywhere. You won't have to do anything. Automatically, Sean will just appear and start yelling and hitting buttons and screaming and hitting bang. Once that is complete, the best part is once that is complete, the recap, we're going to repost it then as its own file after the fact. So if you're at work, you have to come home later one day and you missed out on the recap, you missed out on the market that day, you'll be able to still watch the recap. The big news, Neil, is today is going to be the final recap show on Friday. So Fridays at this time, I don't know why I'm dragging this out so long. Fridays at this time, you've been wanting it, you've been asking it for it, we've been talking about it for a long, long time. We're going to do a podcast. It's about time. It's going to start next Friday at 4 o'clock. We'll do a live recording of the podcast. It'll be whatever length it's going to be starting at 4 o'clock. And then we're going to repost it everywhere, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever we can find, Saturday morning. So if you miss out on it Friday night, you can spend your Saturday morning while you're drinking coffee listening to us babbling on more and more and more. So Friday night, 4 o'clock, starting next week, podcast. Neil, all you.
Boom is all I got to say. If Sean was here, he would have been hitting the bang, so I'm going to do it for him. Everybody has wanted, look, we've been hearing about it for a really, really long time, that we should do something a little bit longer format where it doesn't have to be about the live trading and we can just sit there, shoot the you-know-what, talk about markets, talk about our experiences, talk about what we saw. Of course, we're still going to talk about trading. You know what's up around here. But it'll just be a different type of format that you guys can consume and that everybody can consume at their leisure. So that's what it's all about. We're happy to bring it to you. We're sorry it took so long, to be honest with you, but if you haven't noticed, around here, we actually put a lot of thought into what we do because we want to make sure that we're giving you guys what you want and doing a good job with it. So when we make a change, we want to make sure we get it right. So I think we're going to get this one right for you. But we're working into things here. That's obviously going to be a big deal. But we do have one more thing.
Yeah, one more thing, just real quick, guys. We'll get into. There we go. We'll get into far more detail. We'll get into far more discussions about this next week. So don't worry about details, things like that for now. Just know timing-wise, 4 o'clock next Friday. No more recap on Fridays. We're going to be doing a podcast. So stand by for more.
Stand by for more of us. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much, Brendan. Brendan, of course, sticking around for that is always. You don't always see it, but Brendan works incredibly hard here, and that's what it's all about. Let's get right into some things here. So I moved the surprise. I know it's earnings bouncers, but we do the surprise in there. I very, very quickly also want to go over just a couple of things in the sectors, specifically the SMH, because the chips were ridiculous. It is a monster trend break. I got to open with this because we cannot ignore what's going on with the chips. SMH with a monster trend break and retest potentially of the 160 highs. So this is the one to watch. You saw what happened today. AMD was a great long. Intel was a great long. We can get into some of that because it's a trade review as well. But wow, that 160 is going to be big. The key thing is you were stair-stepping down the SMH, lower lows, lower highs. What you get to end the week is break the trend, take out this lower high, take out the next lower high, and now we're hunting for 160. That would be a tremendous break if it happened, just when people were thinking we were going to turn bearish. The exact opposite. Now, caveat, obviously we have yet to have NVIDIA report. That is not a small deal. Without NVIDIA reporting, Marvell is going to report as well. Without that happening, you got to be wary of just how much legs is going to be in that move. But you can't ignore this one going into next week. Number 2 here. I mean, obviously technology was strong, so you're going to get XLK up there. No surprise the Qs are up there. A little surprising in some days like this that you're going to get USO to lead the board. I never know how I feel about the home builders in this market being near the top of strength, but today it doesn't matter because everything is strong. What I think you might want to pay attention to is when you have this strong of a day and week, what's at the bottom? Large cap China? Shouldn't be surprised. Nat gas? That makes sense to me. Now, TAN and the solar names, they're still bleeding. I think this is problematic. I think we can all have an idea of what's been good this week. But to look at what is still happening to these names. Now, again, there's been some really intelligent conversation about where the bottom might be on this. This is an indication to me that it doesn't seem like it's in yet. When you don't have any oomph, any bounce, particularly, you're trying to double bottom it here. The best you can say today is that it didn't break the low, that it somehow managed to hold on to that low. There's nothing else you can say. Pretty bad for them. So let's get that out of the way. The theme for today was earnings bouncers. And there's no way to go over today without going right away into Unity software. Unity, unbefreaking-lievable. Everybody knows it. Okay, Adrian, I know you're in some First Solar. I feel you, man. I want to be in a solar name. I do. I want to buy TAN. I have no idea where this bottom is going to be. How are you not up today? I don't understand how you can't bounce today. Of all days, everything bounced today. So that Unity was down double digits off in the morning. Trade Desk was down over 30%. Plug was down over 30%. And the bounces were spectacular, with the exception of Plug. They're screwed. But the bounces were absolutely spectacular. It looked like all heck was breaking loose for Unity. Even I was caught off guard. My worst stock today was trying to short Unity. No questions about it. I'll tell you right now, if you shorted Unity today, you got your butt kicked. The best you could do is limit the losses. The only way you beat green is A, you got to participate in the longs and everything else, which is how I pulled it off, or just limit your losses, right? Because you can think it's a short, but once it starts breaking out with a short float like this, you got to get out of the way. When you're going over your trades, and I did this during lunchtime, during lunch money, I like the 25 short. This is the first time it gets to 25. I missed it. That's it. I missed the trade. It's an uptrend that got to resistance and made the pullback I was looking for, and I didn't have it. There is no need to trade it after that. FOMO is real. It happens to everybody. You will chase the trade that you didn't make or the loss that you took. It's going to happen. All you can do is limit it as much as you can. I didn't do it today. I traded it 3 times. 3 times I traded this to the short side at the same level, taking 3 hits because I missed the first one. So it is what it is, and you could have reversed into the long. So that's enough. We've talked about Unity probably more than we need to, but it's just such a great learning experience when you see something counter trend like that. The best you can do is not get caught up in it. You're going to lose every now and then. Just don't lose 5 times. Just don't lose 4 times. In my case, I shouldn't have lost 3 times on Unity. Thankfully, we're able to make up with it with the chip names. I already showed you guys what's going on with SMH. Everybody already knows what's up with NVIDIA. Whoops. There you go. What's going on with NVIDIA? Look at NVIDIA today. That's not too bad. It's actually pretty good. If you look at what's going on in the daily chart, that's not too bad. It's actually pretty damn good, getting close to that 500 top. Well, Sean wasn't here today, so therefore I wasn't contractually allowed to only trade Intel long. I had to take AMD. I didn't have to. AMD just set up. But AMD was easily going into this week the weakest of the big chip names on trend. This daily chart stunk because it was lower highs and lower lows the entire way through that broke it out and then continued today. So you were breaking trend, nice consolidation, slow consolidation up, and the explosion today. That slow consolidation up confirms how bullish it was. I said I've been only favoring long. There have been short opportunities out there. Sean had a great trade at 115 yesterday at the open. But it's been an uptrend pretty much the entire way. And when I look at it today, it was as simple as, I don't have this move, I'm joining the trend. Do not worry if you miss this breakout. It happens. Fine. You don't trade it at 9:30. But when it shows you the trend, start going long. Not that hard to pick up the long in there. And if you get out here, fine, it happens. Jump back in when it holds down at 117.5 and retakes the previous high or makes a new high. All kinds of opportunity to jump back into the trade. The trend is your friend. Sometimes you gotta buy high and sell higher. That's just how it is. That's what AMD gave you. Was the same thing over there in Intel. And look, I can't talk chips and not show you Intel. That was the same baby, only it was even better because the dip was genius and perfect. Sometimes there's a bigger dip giving you a better opportunity than even what you thought. And that's exactly what happened. I think you look at what's going on with SMH until you get to that high that we showed going over the ETFs. I think you'll want to play these trends to the long side. I think a lot of people got caught off guard thinking pullback in the last 2 days, which worked yesterday. And now going into Monday, one of 2 things happen. Okay, maybe we base out off resistance, but we can all see the resistance levels out there, and there's a bit of a pullback. Everyone's on guard for that in the Monday morning. Or maybe we actually get this breakout that could surprise a lot of people. The trend is your friend until the end when said trend bends. Now we do have, I don't know if we have Michael ready, but I'm going to assume we do because, to be honest with you, Michael's always on time. That's rule number 1. And rule number 2, he's always ready to drop mad science because I'm old. I don't know if that's still a thing that people say, but dropping knowledge is what we do, and there you go. But apparently there's buttons I have to hit for all of this, which no one tells me until the last second, Michael. Ramin, you didn't tell me until I had to hit the button. I'm just saying. So thank you very much for coming in here, Michael. It's an absolute pleasure. But this week, I mean, what can we even say about this week, which went from a ridiculously long win streak to Powell essentially causing a little bit of a reversal in the bond market, and then that being reflected yesterday in stocks, which was setting up a Friday, which quite frankly felt like it was going to be, a little bit of a pullback Friday, and then we ripped faces off again, led by, what do you think?
Well, tech for sure. The pain trade, I think right now is just definitely higher. It's every time the market dips for any reason, we just have some sort of a bounce. I think, and we talked about this, I believe last Friday or one of the Fridays I was on with you, Neil. We were talking about how we think that there's probably a lot of institutional hedge fund and mutual fund managers that are trying to kind of catch up into the end of the year. They may not have enough of the things that their investors are going to want, so that every time there's a dip, you have this institutional bid that says, man, the market's just up crazy. The chart I have up here right now is XLK making new weekly closing all-time highs. So this is our tech index, right? Any bearishness in the market, I think, has to kind of go away when the XLK is making new weekly closing highs. So I think there's a lot of institutions that are caught flat-footed, and they're trying to catch up into the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting because that's exactly, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe, that, not last week, that we're talking about this. And this is just a living and breathing proof that sometimes you just have to follow the money. Now, we're always talking about following the trend, and when you're talking swing trading, I think it's always good to have you on because of that, because then you can follow it for more than one particular day. But it's got to be simple. Now, I was talking about something a couple of times today, and the phrase I heard was, everyone knows buy low, sell high. But the phrase I like to use is, and it's easier to think about it as a day trader sometimes. Sometimes you got to buy high and sell higher. Now, as a swing trader, I know we had just talked about when the Qs get to that level, what do we want to do? How do you want to approach it? Fundamentally, if we're breaking out here and there's still buying going into the end of the year, well, heck, we got a month and a half to go of trading. So how do you approach it in your style when it comes to, hey, the move is still high? Are you holding? Are you looking to buy some tops? Like, what's your approach? Because clearly we're seeing some obvious strength that we can make some money off of.
Yeah, so at my core, I'm a trend follower. The reason for that is when I took my CMT, they throw so much studies and academic work and all of this to what you were talking about, the buy high, sell higher. They compare what happens if you buy stocks at 52-week lows versus what happens if you buy them at 52-week highs. And it's one thing in the market that we know persists over time, regardless of I've seen studies back till like the 1890s, 1880s. I've seen them go back to, the rice trading pits in Japan, and it's just a symptom of the market, and that trends persist, and thankfully so, because I think that's where our edge is. Not to get all math nerd, although I know you'll like that, Neil, but
You know it.
if the market was random, it would give you that normal distribution that you're used to in high school. But it doesn't. When you look at the distribution of returns, you see these fat tails. So these things that shouldn't happen, like a market shouldn't trend as much as it does, happens way more often than you expect it to. And that's really where I am. I'm in this situation where I'm probably going to be buying breakouts, I think, into the end of the year. I'm thankful enough that I have a pretty long portfolio already, but I'm just looking to get longer. So I'm zooming into the lower time frames, and I'm saying, okay, I don't know if I want to buy that new all-time high break in XLK, but what I want to look for is if we pull back for a couple days, I'm going to be at the bid, I think, with those institutions till the end of the year. Seasonality makes sense as well. I've talked about this a few times, where the end of October on a pre-election year is usually the low of the market, to like the day this time. And we haven't even seen Santa Claus yet. So there may be a Santa Claus rally. And I think just more of this is going to be more of institutions being caught off guard, being too short and not long enough, and having to correct. So I'm excited just to ride the wave.
Yeah, it's all about riding that wave. And I know, obviously, you're doing technical analysis. You probably don't care, but the crazy thing is, one of the biggest catalysts has been AI. Like, we haven't even gotten NVIDIA earnings. Like, it gets insane. Everyone keeps thinking that stock is going to drop, and like, what happens if they keep blowing it out? But it's like there's so many things that could bubble up. Like, if they blow it out, you got to accept the fact that that could cause even more chasing, because that is one of the major catalysts. And if there's more chasing, you really have to be able to buy those highs. Now, one of the things that I think I've heard you say, you just said, I want to look for some of those dip buys. Now, anyone that watches the show knows that I favor that. One of the things that I found, and I'm not saying the only way to trade an uptrend is to take dip buys and that breakouts don't work. It's just that for those that are a little bit more tentative, like if you happen to be a little bit more risk adverse, a lot of times finding a strategy or a setup that allows you to buy a dip, I find you have a better chance of making the trade, which is a weird way to put it, but it's a good enough. It's one thing to have a trade idea or a reason you want to get in. It's another thing to have the stones to take it. And I find that a lot for some traders, and I know for myself personally, if I'm ever swinging, and even just sometimes taking trades here as a day trader, I find it much easier if I can find confidence in a dip buy. I'm more likely to actually execute the trade than to buy a high. And so I will more actively look for dip buying setups because I know I'm more likely to actually take the trade and then make money from the trade. Then I'm not trying to put you on the spot to say which is your preference, but do you have a preferred approach, or you just do whatever the chart setup is telling you on the stock you want?
So yeah, I chatted with Ralph Alcampora once, who again is the godfather of technical analysis. He went in front of Congress of the United States to argue that the CMT should be on equal footing as the CFA. Just a champion of industry, again, the leader of the CMT. And he gave me an amazing example. We were talking about Dow theory, and Dow theory essentially says there is a primary trend, and that is the trend you should go with, and then a secondary trend. And the analogy he used I thought was amazing, where the primary trend is a guy walking his dog. And that guy knows where he's going, and he's gonna go down the street and make a left and whatever it is. But the secondary trend is the dog, which may be a little bit of ahead of him, a little bit behind him, sniffing something over there. And basically, what our job is as traders is to figure out which direction the man is walking, and then wait for our opportunities where the dog, we know if it gets too far ahead, the leash is going to stop him. So we want to start buying when we know the man is walking forward and we know the dog's a little bit behind him and needs to catch up. So I think that's the perfect analogy for pullback buys, where what I do is I look at a weekly time frame or a monthly time frame. It's why I love our picture in picture charts that we have up here at Trade Ideas, where I have a monthly time frame up usually, and I can see, okay, the longer term trend on XLK is higher. So then I'm in on a daily chart and I'm looking for areas of support that could pull back into, and that kind of representing the dog. So I thought that was a great visual when I heard it, about how it's okay to buy weakness on a shorter term time frame as long as you're continuing with the trend on that longer term time frame.
Oh, I absolutely love that. So there's a bit of a theme on the show. It's not really a theme, it's just something that sort of happens here at Trader TV Live. And that's every time there's a really cool analogy or saying that someone found, that someone has. In this particular case, like looking for dip buys, like the man walking the dog. So what happens is I hear it and then I steal it. And then when I start saying it on the show, I give zero credit to you and then just pretend that I came up with it. So from now on, when I'm dip buying, I'm going to do my best. And I'm letting you know this now because I'm telling you, Michael, I'm not going to give you any credit for this. I'm actually going to start saying walking the dog. I might even tweet about it every now and then. I might tell my wife I came up with this incredible saying randomly, and then give myself all the credit because it's actually fun to do, and I know you'll have fun with it. I
Exactly.
freaking love that. Pardon my French, but I love that analogy. That is the perfect thing to look for. And again, it gives you the confidence because you have something which is telling you want in, and then you're just joining, you're riding the wave, which is what you always want to do as a trader. And we also talked about this on the show today. You don't make tops and bottoms as a trader unless you literally are the whale in the thing you are trading, which is just not going to apply to us. Whether you're a prop trader or you're a retail trader, the odds that you are trading an instrument in which you are the whale, you're not making tops and bottoms. So you have to find other ways to have confidence to get in the trade, because there's always going to be bigger fish out there that are trying to manipulate and do all kinds of crazy stuff for you out there. So just out of curiosity, we got in the chat, they're like, nice guy, Neil. I'm like, yeah, I like to steal people's ideas. Flat bottom break is mine. It's not Sharif's. That's how I roll. But just a couple of other things out for you. Obviously, we just talked about tech. There was a question, and there was a question that was directed to me, and we got a super chat about this, asking about GLD and gold in general. And I gave an answer of what I saw in the daily chart on GLD, and then I said, hey, look, Michael's going to be on the show, and I know he probably has more intelligent thoughts on gold than I do. So if we're going to listen to people that are smarter than us, and always make sure that's what we try to do around here, not to put you on the spot, but can you just sort of go over your thoughts? Tech's booming right now. What are your thoughts on GLD?
Yeah, and again, never worry about putting me on the spot. If you mention a chart, I've probably looked at it. This is all I do all the time. But the main thing that I've mentioned here before, and we're talking about this multi-time frame analysis, the primary trend here in gold, now again, these are monthly charts, still to me looks phenomenal, in which we have what William O'Neill would just call, right, big cup and handle. So you got giant cup and then a big handle, and this goes back to 2012, I think. So I do think that if we get going in gold, we could see 2,500 an ounce, maybe 3,000 an ounce, big moves. So like we just talked about, with that in mind, I'm always looking for areas to get involved. So I was actually watching this area, which is about 180 on the ETF, actually recently, because we're pulling down and we're hitting that level after this massive move higher. So we had this giant push higher, and now we're pulling into an area that we broke out of. So I have gold on watch for actually going into next week. If we can retake this 180 area and hold above it, that's going to be my next shot. And it's one of those, again, I am bullish on the longer term, like 12-year chart. So that is my, man walking the dog. And now I'm just looking for my spots. And I do think 180 would be a spot. If we fail that, we may pull all the way into 170. And I think that's where I'd be interested again.
I appreciate that, Michael. You know what? It's something I learned from my dad, and I always say, like, if somebody asks you a question and you don't know, like, you can try to give your best answer, but the better thing to be able to do, if you actually care, to make sure that they get a smart answer is, hey, either I'm going to find out for you, and generally how am I going to do that? I'm going to ask somebody who knows better. I'm going to read it myself. So I knew I was talking to you today, and I knew you'd have a good answer for that. I appreciate it. I know you don't mind being put on the spot, but it is what it is, and we're going to do it every single time a chance we get when we have you on here. So only got a couple minutes left and got to do a little Q&A and roll call. So any plans for this weekend? Obviously, it's getting a little colder out there. What's going on in Halley?
Not too much. It's already dark out. So again, just like last week we talked, it's if we get anything above freezing, I'm going outside with the kid and the dogs. If not, I don't know, maybe some board games or something like that.
Settlers of Catan is a very fantastic board game. I don't know if you've ever played that one.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorites. My university buddies, that's what we used to play when I was in uni. But yeah, enjoy. Hopefully it does get a little warmer as you get outside there. But Michael, pleasure as always having you on. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Thank you for asking those questions. And for anybody that has a question for Michael, he's on obviously Mondays and Fridays on a regular basis. So get them in. He's there for you. Appreciate it. Have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Talk to you soon. Have a good one.
We always do, and we're going to continue. I know it says like 90 seconds, but I think I can do whatever I want. I'm pretty sure, right? I can. Yeah, Fabian's nodding his head. So let's get into it here, because I saw during that, and I know we're doing some roll call and some questions, but there was already a question from Altman about Tesla and Rivian that I very quickly wanted to make sure we talked about this, because what's crazy about today, when everything that was going on in tech and the chips and all that good stuff, is like yesterday was about the shorts in the EV names, and that's where the bank was. Sean was on Tesla, I was on Rivian. The world was shorting every EV name out there. You could have been trading loose, it didn't make a difference. So what's going on here? Even with the strength that you've seen, Tesla is still under that 200 pre-moving average. Yes, it's making a bounce, but it's still underneath that resistance spot when you look at what's going on that daily chart. So there are some causes for concern here. The other thing to consider is Tesla couldn't press, like that's 220, that level, remember? On the big rebound we saw today, which was fantastic off of 06, it couldn't press through that 15. We're not, the light's not, like, you see what's going on with the chips. It's not over yet. You're not convinced that Tesla is done with this down move that could take out 200 into 180. I'm not convinced at this point. It's got to be closing above 220. I want to see it close the end of a week above 220. And as far as Rivian's concerned, it has to follow the coattails of Tesla. So I'm not convinced. It was a good bounce, but it didn't quite get where it needed to go in my particular mind. And I want it to go up. I own Tesla shares in my long term. I don't care that we're done. We're going to get into some roll call. Wanted to make sure we got that, Altman. I can't get to Rivian. We're running out of time here. First of all, I always forget, and Sean always does it at the beginning. If you get a chance, hit the like for Michael. Hit the like for the fact that this is the last market recap show on a Friday. Why? Because the podcast is coming. You wanted it, you're getting it. We're giving you guys a podcast. We're going to be taping it, obviously, on Friday afternoons. You can consume it on Saturday. So let's get into it. What up, Andrew Chow in the chat? I see you. What up, HPDS? I got Juan Padilla still spinning, trying to hit the... Nobody's winning today. I don't know what the heck is going on with Streamlabs, but nobody's winning these spins. Good luck to you out there, but it doesn't seem like it's working for anybody. TH, like the Bills. TZ shows that over. Okay, the Bills are winning on Monday. They can't lose. Fee rhymed with AMC. Hall, I see you there. Follow Marshawn. What up, Monty? I see you. Chris RML. What up, buddy? 53 daily losses now. Hopefully that's not your trading. Shout out to Modern News MN, who just won 60 points. All I got to do is complain and Streamlabs give somebody a win. D's, I see you. Juan Padilla says he won. It's all good. Zoltan, what up, Zoltan? Mr. Allen, Mike Pena, only Renata. It's true. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Renata never loses the duels, and Renata's always winning the spins. Something fishy is going on here, and I don't wonder if Sharif's not finding a way to stack the deck for it. I'm just going to leave it at that. Ponzi, what up, buddy? We got Robot, Mr. Westermeyer. Hey, how you doing, Mr. Westermeyer? How you doing in that competition at Trade Ideas? I'd love to hear. I know you were sitting in 10th, but I thought I heard somebody say you're up to number 2. Kick their butts and do it for Trader TV Live. That's what's up, buddy. What's up, Vin? We got Trenches Trader, Ryan, Dan McIsaac in the house. Yo, what up, buddy? We also got Homestead, Why, Zoltan, everybody, Jesse, Banzea, Kyle, Michael K, Main MBFA. Main MBFA, I'm pretty sure you gave a super chat. Thank you for that. There were a couple super chats that we didn't get to. Apologies for that. You know I like to ramble sometimes. That's how I roll. So I apologize for missing any super chats today. You know we appreciate every single one of them. The last shot I want to give before we get out of here, because we're over time, Bears versus Bulls. And the show, I only got to this one time this week. I'm sorry, brother. But we have a great community, and we have a fantastic chat. And it doesn't work without Bears versus Bulls. And we don't say this enough. He's the best moderator on YouTube. He makes sure that when Sean and I and the rest of the crew miss questions or forget things or can't answer a question, he's all over it. He's making sure things run smoothly so that everybody can get the most out of this experience. We have a fantastic team here, and we all get to sit together, and I can say, hey, what up, Sean, and give him a fist bump and shout out Fabian and Ramin, but I'm not sitting in front of you to be able to say thank you, brother. So the best moderator in the business, on the best trading show in the business, in the best trading community in the business. Thank you, Bears versus Bulls. Shout out to everybody out there, and I'm going to end it with this. You know what tomorrow is. Here in Canada, we call it Remembrance Day. In the U.S., it's Veterans Day. So I just want to make sure, if you're wondering why we're wearing the poppy, because here in Canada and the U.K., this is how we show our appreciation for everybody that does, quite frankly, I'll admit it. They put themselves on the line and do so knowing they will put themselves into danger for others. Right? Just being brave because something happens and you just see it and then you do something. And then there's somebody that goes out and says, I am consciously making the decision to put it on the line every single day for other people. That's what this is about. I don't want to get into politics or anything like that. It's the spirit of what this is about here. So for everybody out there, whether or not you know somebody that is a veteran or whether you want to remember somebody or visit somebody that has given their life, take some time out of your day tomorrow to make some kind of an appreciation, even if you just have to sit there and think about it for yourself. Because there's nothing you can do that's more powerful than giving, and there's nothing that you can give more than your service, and sometimes your life in service of something. So I just wanted to leave with that. Everyone have a fantastic weekend. Again, happy Veterans Day and happy Remembrance Day to everybody tomorrow. Have a fantastic weekend. We will see you back on Monday. This is the last market recap show. The next time you see us doing this on a Friday, it's going to be the podcast. We'll see you next week.